everybody. Welcome to tonight's GGDA stream, live stream. Thank you for joining us. Tonight we have, as you can read down on the bottom, Josh Resnick with Black Box Simulations. Hey, but before we get into our Unity certification course tonight, you know me, I love to run my mouth. I've got a few announcements I have to make real quick. Hopefully GGDA can help us out with some links here. But GGDA, we have a live Patreon. Your support helps us with efforts to improve game developers and their community, as well as helping bringing better games to life. Our stream is for gamers looking to learn more about what goes into making their favorite games. It's also for new designers looking to break in, and it's also for experienced designers looking to improve their skills. Also, coming up in October, the first weekend of October, we have Siege. And if you're in Atlanta, you need to go to Siege. Especially if you're interested in game development. We have a keynote speaker that is worth every penny that you're going to pay for a badge, right? Jesse Shell. If you don't know about him, you need to look that name up. We've got him as our keynote speaker. Wrote some awesome books. I use them all the time. They're great. All right, moving right along. GGDA. Like we mentioned before, we're a nonprofit organization, so we have merchandise. You can find all these merchandise on cafepress.com, cafepress.com/GGDA. All of us game developers, we drink coffee, so you need a GGDA coffee mug. Go out, go buy it right now. All right. That's enough about me and talking. I'm sorry. I'm Brian Miller, station manager with the GGDA, and I'm also founder of Zapmill LLC, an educational game and game development company, which is awesome about, with this topic tonight with Josh and teaching all of us about becoming Unity certified. So, Josh, why don't you take it away? Tell us a little bit about yourself, and the show is yours.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Joshua Resnick. I'm an experienced designer at Black Box Simulations, formerly a game design consultant for Skywatcher Games for a few years. And I'm also a Unity certified developer and have been for the last year now. Back when I took it up in North Carolina during the 2015 ECGC. It was either 2015 or 2016. In my experience during that time, I managed to be able to pass the courseware without the need, the exam without the need for courseware, which would have been a much bigger boon and probably would have raised my score since then. Thankfully, now we have these things. So if you want to take a bigger look at what the courseware has to offer and what the exam is going to actually show, I highly recommend you getting the courseware on top of looking at these videos, because while these videos are definitely going to go into the explanation of what the exam is and how it's broken down, it's not going to go over every little nook and cranny because we only have an hour per session. So without further ado, let me explain a little bit about the exam itself. The exam is broken down into 100 questions, I believe. It is 90 minutes long, and it is broken down into different pieces that are called modules. And these modules range from soft skills, such as roles within the game industry as defined by Unity, as well as production pipelines. They go over components such as animation, audio, goes over physics like rigid body and colliders, and it goes all the way to the end to scripting and Unity services. Personally, when I took the exam back last year, when there was no courseware, I thought, because of the context clues that of what it was called, which was the Unity Certified Developer exam, that I would have to understand the entire scripting API, because when I hear developer, I hear programmer. So when I went to take the exam, I had memorized as much about the scripting API as I thought humanly possible, only to come and find out that the scripting API portion only takes up a single module in the actual exam. So for those of you who are looking to cram in understanding about the scripting API and how it works and all the little nuances of the functionality of it, don't be worried. This is really more for people who need to understand the Unity editor itself and how you, and all the little things that Unity has created in order to make your life much better than what it would have been if you were just trying to build your own. So what we're going to be doing today is day one, and we're going to be focusing on soft skills. The reason we're focusing on soft skills first is because as we go on further from day by day, we're going to be going over different components and finally the scripting API. And because of that, we don't want to have to break off anywhere in between in order to talk about these soft skill things when we're just still trying to think about the Unity engine from day to day to day. And the part of these soft skills that are going to be discussed today, I'm going to now hopefully make this work and share my screen. Haha, you can now see me in Brian's excellent little insignia there. All right, and hopefully now you can now see my screen that has my excellent handwriting that says Day 1 Soft Skills. If you hear a slight jittering, that's me moving my computer, my laptop down a little bit so it's easier for me to write on my screen. Here you'll see that today we are going to be focusing entirely on soft skills. And the best way to start this whole shebang off is to talk about pipelines. Now, everything I'm about to tell you today are things that are covered by Unity. These are things they want you to know in order to understand how they break down their material and how they want you to understand these things to function. And during this portion, I like to do this during my classes, and I like to do this during whenever somebody asks me about this. We're going to also have a little section here called what Unity says and then what I say, or better yet, what the industry says, because for some reason, Unity has some wonky ideas about how the pipelines work and how roles within the game industry work. And I'll go into much bigger detail about that when we get there. Just understand that although I'm going to also be giving an opinion upon what it's actually going to be, because I want to make sure that you all don't walk away with improper understanding about how a game production pipeline actually functions. Know that there's also the way that Unity wants you to understand it, and that's the one you should remember for the exam. So without further ado, let's get this party off right. And where we're going to start is here on pipelines. So the pipeline system that Unity wants you to know has been broken down into 4 simple systems. Just like this, all connected. Whoa, all connected together. Oh, that's why I have my eraser on. 1, 2, and 3 different pipelines from one to the next. And the first thing we have here is pre-production. Pre-production is all about forming the idea. This is how you begin to prepare your game ideas to be sent to production. This is also where you create your visual style for the game. It's where you create your game design document and your technical design document, and really start to form the basis of what your game is actually going to be. This is pretty much true as it is. So all you have to understand, the best way to help understand pre-production is the idea phase. So anything that really relates to ideas, think about pre-production. What we have next, going to remove this part right here, is the production pipeline. Or should just say production. And what happens here is quite generally, Unity just says, this is the part where you actually make your game assets. And moreover, make your game. As we probably all can understand, there's a little bit more to game development than, of course, just making your game. You just enter into production and then, make your game. But for Unity, what they want you to understand here is that this is the phase about making your content, making the pieces that will actually be in your game. So whenever you see something on the exam about the idea phase, that's pre-production, and something about actually creating the assets, that's about production. Third up here, this is the part that basically begins immediately after you release your game. This is called the maintenance phase. And maintenance, as we should probably all know, is the phase where you fix your bugs. You fix your bugs and you make minor updates to your content. as we all are pretty certain of, as well as Unity is pretty certain of, and good on them for that, is that no matter how much you try to debug your game and test it, there will be problems. In fact, I would be a bit concerned if there weren't problems on your release. Because I would think either you were an alien or you were just very ignorant about people telling you your game is bad. So saying this, anything that has to do with fixing bugs or making minor updates to your game upon release can be thought of as the maintenance phase. And then finally, we have the upgrade phase. So I really give them props on this one because it's a great way to make early designers understand exactly what they should be thinking about early on. Because the first thing they say about the upgrade phase is that this is something that you should already have planned since all the way back in pre-production, which is the best idea to have, because if you're trying to think of things on the fly, you're going to probably be stuck here in maintenance phase still. But no, they say when you think of your upgrades, which are your major content updates like seasonal updates or major expansions or things like that, you should be thinking of that way back into pre-production. And then that's how they choose to cycle through this, where it kind of goes from 4 to 2 to 3 to 4 and so on and so forth. So to reiterate, this phase right here, this is about the idea phase. So I'm going to just write here ideas. Right here in the production phase is all about generating content. So I'm just going to be saying creation, as in creating assets. Here in the third phase, we have maintenance. So I'm going to label this as fixes. And of course, for your upgrade phase, I don't really see much need to name it other than upgrade, because that is a very good way to phrase this. So ideas, creation, fixes, upgrade. Now then, this is the way Unity wants you to understand the game production pipeline. However, many times in the classes I teach, as well as people who ask me about the exam itself, they go, hey, is this actually true? And for anybody who's currently watching this online, which is all of you, because there's no one currently standing behind me, what we're going to do here is actually show you the way that it technically is understood in the actual industry. So first off, what I'm going to show you here is the pre-production pipeline, pre-production, which is largely the same as it was before. This is certainly about generating content. And by content, I do mean ideas. You create your game design document, your technical design document, art Bible, story Bible if needed, but don't go overboard, of course. You know, you shouldn't overplan these things. You should leave some room for imagination. You move over then to your production phase, and this all is about generally the same. It's about, you know, generating content. It's about creating assets, and your level designer putting them down, your programmers making your systems and mechanics more dynamic than what the game designer probably made them. And then you move on about at, I don't know, game is about, I'm going to say 85% done, is when you move on to the phase that they don't tell you, which I'm actually going to write down here, is alpha. And in the alpha phase, that's where you do all of your closed testing to personal friends, enemies, and family. And you get their input upon your systems and mechanics. Coworkers as well. Internal testing is a big must on this one. And it's really all about knocking out those major bugs, because at this point, your game should be largely playable. If not, you're probably still in production. And this is technically, I'm going to use big air quotes here, a finished product. You could probably release this if you really wanted to, although you'd probably get a meta score of about maybe 20. Moving on, if you are about, I'm going to say 95 to 98% done, that means you're about ready for the beta phase. And in the beta phase, we got two versions. We got your closed beta and your open beta. Have other people take a look at your game, and they can tell you whether it sucks, what sucks about it, and what things you may have to tweak or change entirely. Your closed beta is really only for people who either subscribe to your newsletters or are the people who have shown genuine interest in your project. They tend to be, they have some rosy-eyed goggles, of course, but they're largely trustworthy to get a good answer out of. And then you move on to your open beta, where you kind of just tell everyone, hey, have fun, and you leave it open for anybody who wants to come and download it and try it out. This is when if you're in open phase, you should be at least 98% done with your project. And then, of course, this should handle all of your minor bugs. It should handle stress testing, anything within that area. And then upon reaching about 98 to 99%, you reach gold. And gold is when you actually kick the thing out the door finally. I'm not going to say that it's ever going to be 100% because I would be lying to you. I've never had a project I've released where I've ever said, yep, that's right. That's exactly what I wanted. So just understand that this is the point where you have to kick the thing out the door. Apart from this, I don't have any other issues with how they do the pipeline. I feel as though maintenance is a fine addition to that as well as upgrade. So the only piece I want you to keep in mind is this production phase right here and how just the importance of testing before you kick the thing out the door. And now, of course, moving on from this, I'm going to remove this whole piece. So feel free to pause it if you want to understand it. And also understand that this is the way I describe it. And in order to reiterate, so it's easier for everyone to remember, for Unity, we have the pre-production, the production, the maintenance, and the upgrade phase. And to remember that this is the idea phase right here. This is the idea phase. This is the creation phase. This is the fixes phase. And this is the upgrade phase. All right. Next up, what we're going to be talking about are the roles within the game industry. So when we're talking about roles, Unity likes to put a very strong emphasis on your art team, which I am definitely in large agreement with. Artists are everything. Not to say your programmers aren't, but if you've ever seen programmer art, then you can definitely understand my sentiment about wanting a strong art backbone. And starting off with the roles in the art team, we have, of course, the main honcho himself or herself, the art director. And what the art director is all about is making sure that the overall look and feel of the game is consistent. They're also known as being the people who probably come up with the ideas early on into pre-production. They help get the visual style correctly and kind of push everything into the right direction. A lot of times when taking the exam, whenever they talk about art and specifically art that's going to be generated, you should tend to refrain from using the art director as your answer, because the art director here is mainly there to make sure that the look and feel is consistent. They can generate art, but not usually during the production phase unless, they absolutely must. Because the next role in the game industry is the person who normally does generate the concept art. And that is the concept artist. Where all my concept artists at? Best people. Love these people. Concept artists are all about generating the look and feel of the game. So if the art director is there to make sure that the visual style is correct and that it's consistent across the board, the concept artist is the one who goes to the art director with a bunch of choices and goes, here's 1 out of 3 different masks for you. Which one do you like? And out of those 3, we could have something like let's say we're making a cyberpunk game where you need a visor. where you could have, maybe a Geordie looking visor here. You could have a, I don't know, a goggles looking mask set up here, or you could have a, I don't know, Power Rangers V looking setup here. The concept artist is usually the one responsible for generating these choices for the art director to be able to choose from in order to flesh out the look and feel of the environment world that they're a part of. And that's great. So that's kind of the difference between the art director and the concept artist, where one makes sure that the look and feel is consistent. The other is responsible for generating the actual art. All right, moving on, we have two roles that are largely similar. They will tend to disagree, but in Unity's eyes, there is no difference, except for maybe one little word, and that is the difference of character artist and the environment artist. Now, I know in the industry that these people are as different as night and day. Not in terms of skill, mind you, but in just terms of what kinds of things they do. But for Unity, you can almost switch out their words, switch out one word, that being character and environment, and you basically get the description for the other. And that being that the character artist is the one that generates the textures, the models, the shaders, the materials for a character. And the environment artist does the exact same thing, but for environment assets. Of course, we all understand that there's a little bit different work than that, and that's a very gross generalization of them. But for Unity, this is what they want you to understand. Also on the deck is the technical artist. And the technical artist is all about, there we go. Technical artist. Oh, wow. Technical artist. That is my bad. The technical artist. The technical artist is all about optimizing game assets for the game engine. They will take the resources guide from the technical design document, mainly of this is our budget for our scene here. This character is grossly over budget as far as polys are concerned, so I'm going to have to knock that down. I'm also going to optimize the textures, probably make shaders, and things of that nature in order to make sure the game looks as good as possible while still not killing anybody trying to run it. They are, without a doubt, one of the best people in the industry when it comes to things like this. What we have up next is the level designer. And the level designer is all about taking the assets that have been generated for them and placing it within the game engine itself. They're all about taking the models from the character artist, let's say the trees from the environment artist, and the shaders created by the technical artist, and just putting it all together. They're the ones creating the progression within the game. They're the ones creating the pacing and the flow of the game. And they're probably going to be the ones that are going to be working the most within Unity. And of course, finally, we have our game designer. Now, for the Unity certification exam, I'm sure I did not touch over one or two different roles that they also mentioned, but there's a good reason for that. And that is that the fact that it's just not in the exam itself. When I've seen the exam before, I've seen the exam recently, I've taken the exam, and I can tell you that besides the ones mentioned here, they don't really note any others. I'm certain they also mentioned the audio engineer, and I'm sure they also mentioned the producer, because they're also very important roles. But in here, they just have these guys that I've currently got listed, and which brings me to the last person here, which is the game designer. And the game designer is all about creating the systems and mechanics for the game engine itself, for the game itself. So they're kind of taking over the role of programmers, which neither here nor there. I think that's fine because you can definitely overdo yourself with programmers. You know, too many cooks spoil the broth kind of thing there. So that's kind of what they do there. Just think in terms of if it's a programming person who does programming, just think that it's now the game designer's job and not the programmer's job, the gameplay programmer. So that really defines out the pipeline and roles within the game industry. And so next, what we're going to discuss is the thing that Unity really wants you to talk about at the end of the day, the services. Because they've worked very hard on this, and it also makes sure that everybody gets paid at the end of the day, or at least them. So starting off with our services, we have Unity's, they have Unity Cloud Build. Let's start with these guys. Unity Cloud Build is a service within Unity that allows you to hook up your source repository to Unity servers. They will pull it from your repo and actually build your project for you. This is a massive boon for people who either don't have a Mac to build Mac games, they don't have an Xbox compiler for some reason, or have anything like that that allows them to build to any platform that they want. Cloud Build will take your project and just build it out to that, which I think is just the coolest thing out there. I've used it before. Little side note though, if you're trying to build out to things like iOS, I've noticed a lot of different issues with that, so I would tend to stay away from that. Second, what we have is Unity's new Collaborate. And all Collaborate is really about is, say you have a bunch of assets in your folder. Let's say you just made like a new CS script here, and you have a new prefab that you want to send over to your friend. However,
Hey, Josh, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hey, sorry, man. Didn't mean to interrupt. It sounds like everybody else might be able to hear me too.
It is available for, to repeat the question, is the Cloud Build available for personal use or only for pros? And the answer to that, it's available for personal as well. It's available for everybody. And that's kind of what makes it so fantastic. It can be a bit slow at times though. So if you have a massive project, prepare to wait. All right. So moving on, Collaborate is, let's say I got a CS script and let's say I got a prefab right here. And I need to send it to my friend who is, let's say in Seattle, because of course they're in Seattle. What I'm going to do now is, instead of having to send something up to my repository and having to wait to have them pull it down and all that nonsense, if we both have our Unity IDs and they're both hooked up, there's a little guy in the top right corner called like Collab that you can press and collaborate with your friend and send them these files. And that just allows for very quick, almost real time, not really real time, but very close to real time file sharing between Unity projects. And that is just amazing. So, however, in order to use Collaborate, and this is on the exam, you will need a Unity ID, which you can definitely pick up online or create your project ID, of course. Next up, what we've got is we got boom, 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 boom. Goodbye, everybody. On top of Collaborate, what we've got here is also we have Unity ads. So Unity ads are a very special thing that that has caused Unity games to explode within the app market, because they made it so incredibly easy to use their ad network and make sure that everybody can make some money out of their games. And they've got two ads that they can serve. They have simple ads and rewarded ads. And the great thing about this is that you can basically set it up, and even part of it can add to your gameplay, because with simple ads, all these guys are right here is they play an ad. Whoop-de-doo. Simple ads can be skipped, and all they're really about is just showing you content, and that's about it. Second, what we have here is probably one of the smartest ideas I've seen in a long time, and I actually do mean that legitimately, is rewarded ads. This is a way of rewarding the player for watching ad content, which is amazing to think about, because what's happening here is say we have a timer-based app like I don't know, Clash of Clans, where you have to wait, I don't know, about 10 hours for your I've never played it, your armory to be built. And you can wait that 10 hours, you can spend in-game currency in order to get down that number, or you can just watch an ad, and this ad will allow you to drain some time down or give you more currency in order to buy down your time. This makes things very easy very easy to use, very persuasive to use even. It's very compelling to use it. And the only drawback to that is that they cannot be skipped, because of course they can't. If you could start up the ad, close it down, and get your reward, then people would just do that and do that all day long. So that's the great thing about Unity ads. Next up, what we have is a bit of a similar idea that you probably have seen together, and that's Unity IAP, also known as in-app purchasing. The great thing about in-app purchasing is that it's treated like a no-code solution. And what I want you guys to do now is tell me if you've ever seen this before in your life when you're playing an app or any other kind of game. And what I'm going to draw here are 6 boxes. It might be 6, might be 5, might be 8. And what they have is 10, 20. You can buy 10, 20, 50 rubies, 100 rubies. You can buy, I don't know, 200 rubies, 500 rubies if you're a whale. Basically the setup where you can buy different amounts of coins for real world currency. And they all look the exact same, which is this setup right here where they have, the little panel set up and where you can buy different amounts and all that good stuff. And this one usually says, hey, look at me here. I'm the best value. Why don't you buy me? This is caused by IAP. They make it extremely seamless to set this up and exchange your real world currency for the in-game currency and make this all work and be all fine and dandy. Usually I have always seen this in tandem with ads because, increase your revenue stream as much as you can. You can't really blame anyone for that. But yeah, every time you've ever seen this is usually caused by the Unity IAP system, which again is just a fantastic system. And if you don't abuse it, I'm sure you will do great with it. All right, what we've got now is another system that they like to talk about a lot. Well, actually, no, just one that you're going to see on their services page that's also important is their multiplayer. Now, in the past, I admit that I've actually had some issue with their UNET system and understanding it properly. But overall, I understand that it is a much simpler solution to integrate than all of their most other Unity, or I'm sorry, most other multiplayer systems in general. What they have is just basically a bunch of components that you can hook onto your game objects and allow it to be communicated from one client to another or to a host. And the big thing that they want to sell you with on here is that they also have their own service for hosting, and where they got like little sliders that say, hey, you can, what kind of internet speed you have and how many users are you looking at getting? And then they can work out something with you on that. Just know it exists. Just know it's there, and know that it's actually a fairly easy system to use. Once you get the hang of it, I should say. Next, what we have is the Every Play system. This is something relatively newer. I don't see it used too much, but I think that's just because people don't really know how to use it correctly just yet. This is all about sharing your video, the video of your gameplay online through social media or using it for some other purpose. What it does is it takes a snapshot of your game and shares it. It just records your gameplay and uses it. I think it's a great system personally, but just like many others, I'm not quite certain where I would use it just yet. So until that day comes, I'm still not really putting it into my projects. And if you excuse me for a moment, I'm actually going to check very quickly on any ones that I may have missed. Services. And as you can see, I have pressed this before. Oh yes, how could I forget? How could I forget the good old-fashioned Unity Analytics? So I'm just going to jump back here. Unity Analytics, if anybody has ever used Google Analytics, it's pretty much the exact same concept. Actually, point for point, pretty much the exact same concept. Sure thing, Brian. We got another question. The multiplayer is UNet. Yes. Yes, it is the little component structure that you have. If you were to look up in the add component menu, the good old fashioned add component, you'll see an area that says underneath that says, hey, we got one here for multiplayer or networking or something like that. It's probably networking, actually, now that I think about it. And they're going to have a bunch of different components for you that I would highly recommend learning and getting used to, because it's a very powerful tool once you get used to it. So what we have up next is Unity Analytics. You've probably seen this actually if you started up a new project and you're signed in your big old Unity screen. In fact, I'm just going to pull it up right now. Why am I trying to draw it out when I can just pull it up? Cool 2017 logo that we got going on here. If you're watching this in the future, this is actually pretty cool from what I'm looking at right now, because they used to not have these cool little insignia, these cool little logos here. And yes, this is 27.1F3. If you are, in the future, this is what's new and good. If you're here, you could see that you can turn on Unity Analytics here. And what it does record very basic information about your game if you do nothing else. How many users do you have? What's your play time that you're getting? Things like that. But what you can do is so much more as well. You can also start to tag things in your game. A great example is if your players are at a crossroads and they choose, choice A or choice B. If they're choosing choice A more than they're choosing choice B, then you're going to have to include that in a future update of your game, maybe. And you'll be able to tag these with analytics tags that go back to your network. All right. Overall, please go to your dashboard and start understanding Unity Analytics, because it'll just add so much more depth to what you're trying to understand. All right. what else we got here? Yes, good old-fashioned performance reporting. So what's great about these guys here, when you're programming, whenever you're programming, you should always try to make these as much as you can to help understand what you're trying to achieve. Yes. Oh, that's a good question. So to repeat the question, can Unity Analytics be placed into a game after it is been released? It has been released. To that answer, what I'm going to say is, I believe so. I believe you can actually patch that in because you're patching the script itself. You're saying, okay, I'm adding in an analytics tag onto the script, onto this game object. To be honest, I could not say for certain, but my gut feeling about how Unity works and how the patching in Unity works, my answer is yes. All right. So what I'm writing down here is a good old-fashioned exception, which is the basics for some great error catching that you can do in any kind of programming language. All right. So what I've written here is a try-catch condition. And what this whole thing is all about is trying a piece of code, and if it doesn't work, it'll throw an exception, this guy right here. And what this guy will do, it will tell you, hey, you screwed up, and this is how you screwed up. And the great thing is, the reason why I'm showing you all of this is because we have something called Unity Performance Reporting. And one of the great pieces about this is sending you a nice little task list. I'm actually going to write it down here. Performance reporting. There we go. Part of this piece right here is catching all of those little exceptions that your project is throwing and sending them back to you as a way of being able to fix bugs that you might be receiving. In fact, it does it in a very much of a kind of Kanban kind of system where they have, task, a traditional little, here's what's going on with your project, here's what's being screwed up, all that good stuff. So we've got that going on. Just fix that. And with that, these are all the services that you should probably understand for the Unity certification exam. I'm certain I've seen questions about ads and the difference between simple and rewarded ads. Collaborate, they want you to understand how what you need exactly to collaborate to work, and that is your Unity ID. Understand that for a cloud build, you're going to need a source repository. There are many times in which it's actually going to try to throw you a trick question saying, hey, what kind of what are the different ways in which you can hook up cloud build? And in reality, they're all tricks, because the only way you can do it is with a source repository. You cannot do it with your asset server. You cannot do it with your hard drive. You cannot do it through any other method except for a source repo. And now you may be, yes. I do not believe it covers models and mesh, no. All I've ever seen for performance reporting has always been code-related issues. However, that would be fantastic if they ever covered that, because I know I would need that as well. If you see down here, actually onto this page, ignore the other tabs I may have because they're just things I'm doing. What it does here, you can see here a bunch of exceptions are here, Unity exceptions specifically. And as you can see in this middle piece, you got a nice little bug feed right here that allows you to address issues quickly. And it even shows you a little stack trace right here to show where everything is going on. It works essentially like a Kanban board system where you have a bunch of tasks that you need to blow through. So to answer your question, no, it does not use, I don't think it detects errors from models and mesh, unless you actually define it in your code. Okay, so returning back, your source repository is the only way you can access your cloud build. And as currently there are 4 ways in order to, 4 repos it currently recognizes. The big one, of course, is Git. That's the one I use because, of course, I use it. The next is SVN, Perforce, and Mercurial. I'm probably butchering this, maybe. No, I think that's right. So these are the 4 repos that Unity currently understands and can work with. Other than that, though, those are the only ways in which Cloud Build will work for you. All right. So then, let's remove all of this so we can have a nice clean board. With your soft skills, we had our pipelines. Whoop. Man, I am not spelling right today. We have our roles, and we have our services. These are the major sections that Unity wants you to know for the exam. Mainly for the pipelines, let's remember the main pieces about what each one is about, because you might get different kinds of questions about how exactly these pipelines are broken down that may not be the standard ones that I've encountered. Just understand the core ideas of each one and you should be A-okay. For the roles within the game industry, just understand the difference between the art director and the concept artist, where the art director is the one that makes sure that the overall look and feel of the game is consistent. The concept artist is the one who actually generates the concept art in which the art director can pick from and make sure the look and feel is what they want it to be. Understand that the character and environment artist are 2 roles that are essentially the same in Unity's eyes, although we know it's more than that, where they are generating the models, the textures, sometimes the materials / shaders, and normal maps and bump maps if that's needed, and things like that. And the only thing that's different from them is that one makes characters and one makes environment assets. And then, of course, we have the level designer, and the technical artist. Let me go to that one first, whose job it is to optimize game assets for the game engine. And of course, we have the level designer and the game designer. The level designer is the one who takes all of the assets and puts it in the game engine. And the game designer is the one who generates the systems and mechanics in the game and is essentially the programmer for the project. And of course, as we all know, and probably should go over this very briefly, that as far as programmers are concerned, that there are 3 that you should definitely remember and keep an eye on for your project. Of course, these are your gameplay programmers. These are the guys who will take most likely the prototypes that your game designer made, your very, very rough prototypes, not to mention. You have your tools programmer. They're the ones who are making your life not a living hell. These people should be praised for their greatness. And finally, don't worry about that. I just realized that my power wasn't turned on for this. There we go. We are A-okay. We are A-okay, everybody. Yeah, we're good. Just wanted to make sure. And finally, we have our engine programmer. Now, although Unity is a very powerful engine, there are things that could be done better. And these guys will help tool your engine, make it better. However, beyond that, I think Unity does a great job of defining the pipeline and the roles within the game industry and how they all work together and, make amazing games. And as far as the services are concerned, we have of course, the ones that make you and Unity money, of course, which is the ads and IAP. They're the ones that help you share amongst your colleagues. That's your cloud build. That's your collaborate, which of course also encourages you to have a source control that you regularly update to, which is also fantastic, and should be the number one thing you always do for your projects. And of course, they also have these little tidbits that make it easily shareable to other people. That is every play, multiplayer, things like that, that aren't on your team, I should say. And those cover your services. These all cover about one section each. Well, actually, these two probably cover the same section. This one is definitely on its own because they really want you to understand the stuff so they can make money, so you can make money, so everybody's happy and all still have a job. Going on for tomorrow, what we're going to be discussing then is we're going to be discussing components. And what components are all about, this is really the meat, and will probably be divided up into two sections, or tomorrow and Thursday, I should say. And these are, of course, the main meat within Unity. The first day, on Wednesday, of course, we'll be covering lighting, we'll be covering audio, and we will be covering, let's say that we're also going to be covering something similar to that. Let's cover materials, because that actually is its own section as well. Last I checked, materials / shaders, whatever you want to call it. And we're also going to be going over the basics of the editor. I am fairly certain you are all smart people and probably know it already. However, you can never skimp on the fundamentals. So we're also going to be going over the editor basics. And then, of course, for Thursday, we will be getting a little more into depth, and we're going to be discussing physics. This includes colliders and rigid bodies, as well as physics materials. We're going to be going over importing assets. This includes models, animations, things like this, and the different settings you can set on these guys. And of course, finally, for Thursday, we will be going over, physics, importing assets, which would also cover exporting naturally. And, let's also go over, I'm trying to remember what else is on there. Let's also go over animation. And animation does cover the animation tool itself, as well as the animator and different pieces there, as well as Mechanim, by the way. All right. And then finally for Friday, what we're going to do Friday is I'm thinking of doing a bit more of a live stream where I'm working with everybody, making sure everybody's prepared for the exam and kind of going over study materials and helping them understand it. Other than that, I'm just going to call it, let's call it the live stream pop quiz. Because what's going to happen here is even if you're not a part of this live stream, you're still going to see the questions. I'm going to modify them slightly so I am not blatantly ripping off of the Unity exam, of course, because that I think is illegal, and I don't want to go to jail. I love you, Unity. Please don't sue me. But I will be making small adjustments to the pop quiz in order to make it so you understand what kind of questions you may be getting. And with that, I think we are done for today. Oh, okay. Oh, great question. So to repeat the question, we're talking about importing assets, specifically models from Maya and Blender. And we will be going over that, and not only Blender and Maya, but also 3ds Max, because that is still something a lot of people use. In fact, they all pretty much bring in the same things. However, there is different support among which ones you can use. Blend files are a bit notorious with Unity. They don't bring in everything, and even if they do, sometimes including animations, you might have to make small adjustments. Also, when you bring in things like OBJ files and things like that, and what those can bring in for you. We'll be going over all of that on Thursday. Oh, no, people don't want to see my head. All right. Oh, that's fine. That's cool. I'm cool with that. Hey, I'm real. I'm not dead, hopefully. Oh, yes, he does. I absolutely do. People are chomping at the bit.
I, you know,
I can
I,
hear him just
yeah,
fine.
he can hear me just fine, but now everybody can suddenly hear me talk. You know what? Technology is fun. How was that? Like, I was the perfect mime, right? Anyway,
It was beautiful.
all
It was
right. Sorry
beautiful.
about
He
that,
said a
folks.
beautiful
No,
thing.
no, I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. Yes, the audio is a simple click of a button I forgot to do. Forgive me. I'm not perfect. I am human. We're not androids, as we were being accused of earlier. All right. So again, just to quickly close it out, Josh Resnick working with us on the training us on Unity 3D certification course. This is day one. We will be doing that for the rest of this week through Friday at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So, all right. And before we go, because I got to run my mouth a little bit. Again, I'm repeating myself. Sorry, Josh.
You're
Oh, my
fine.
name is my name is Brian Miller. I'm the station manager for the GGDA, Georgia Game Developers Association. I'm also founder of Zapmill LLC, which is an educational game development company. Anyway, all right. Before we go, a couple of announcements. GGDA Live Patreon. Before you see this end all, you're going to see the commercial. Your support helps us with efforts to improve game developers in their community, as well as helping to bring better games to life. Our stream is for gamers looking to learn more about what goes into making their favorite games, and designers looking to break into the industry. And it's also for experienced designers such as Josh, uh, looking more to improve their skills from people like Josh. All right. If you're in Atlanta in the first weekend of October, you need to come to Siege. Um, we've got a really special guest that's going to be our keynote speaker. And for anybody familiar with the game design and development field, you should know this name, Jesse Shell. Awesome. Yeah, big stuff. He is our keynote speaker for Siege this year. Uh, check it out. Come on out. All right. There you go. Perfect. Link. SiegeCon. Um, Merchandise. The GGDA, as you heard us talk about, is a nonprofit organization. We do have some merchandise, and I keep saying this over and over. You're a game developer. I know you drink coffee. There's nothing better to help jack up that coffee a little bit more by getting a GGDA coffee cup. Go get it right now. All right. Finally, once again, thank you so much, Josh, for tonight. We're going to look forward to seeing you tomorrow night at 7 o'clock with more details about Unity 3D. Everybody else, thank you for tuning in. We will see you tomorrow. Commercial time.
Bye.